So yeah, this is the hole that is there that they needed to cut out to do some plumbing, and we're in a bathroom, so I can't get a full shot of it. I've just got it set up here on a stand. So I don't have the room that I would like to have in here to work with, but I'll do the best I can to show you what I'm doing here. The first thing I had done was with a pencil, I marked all of the spots where the pipe is running, and this indicates the bend. There's a 2x4 back here. A 2x4 is what is it, 1.5 by 3.5? So I have the 2 inside here, and so I cut that into half, 3/4 of an inch, and made a line down here. This is the spot that I'm going to cut out to set the sheetrock into. Over here there is a stud right about here. I've got some issue here with some of the backer from the shower install, but I've got some ways to take care of that. So I've begun to cut out with my little saw here across here, and I'll just piece it this and take this apart. So I've put a couple of pieces of wood in here so I can have something for the sheetrock to butt up against. I put one piece in here first and failed to take any pictures of it. I'm putting the second piece as we speak. So what I'm doing is taking a drill first and starting a pilot hole. This particular type of wood, if you don't do that with, it will split. So what I do is I pretty much just use my feel, and I put 2 pieces of wood in the exact same size. I cut out this piece right here, 3/4 of an inch, and clean that out all the way. I've cut the sheetrock to size. The reason it's purple or blue, it's water resistant, better for bathrooms. And then I screwed it in all the corners, the middles, and then in between the corners and the middles. I've put the tape on here on all 4 sides. I've already put it on, so I can't show you, but I overlap it, not a lot. And then I go and push it down. I've got a 20-minute hot mud, excuse me, a 20-minute hot mud right here, because I want to get another coat of hot mud on here, as well as 1 coat of topping compound today. So the hot mud dries up pretty quickly. Getting a little messy here. So I take the small blade and I use that to spread it out on everything. So yeah, so I put that on there, and oh, got the wider. Then I take the wider blade So that's the first coat. You don't have to be as complicated or complex with it the first time. So I've got this base coat here dry enough to put the second coat on. What I do is I take a scraper and I scrape out the heavy lines. You'll see when you swirl it on that you'll get these lines. And I pretty much just go and scrape those all out. That way when you put the next coat on, it'll allow you to get a more, not have a bunch of bumps and stuff. On the second coat here, the blade, the mid-size, small to mid-size blade that I used for the first coat will now be the blade that I used to spread the plaster onto the wall, and I'll be using a bigger blade for this. The idea is to go up in size for the blades and to go wider on your surface area. So if you don't know, there's a bend in these. So it bends, so you want to skim it on the side that's bent. Concave or convex, you'll have to figure that out. You might be smarter about that than I am. So yeah, I'll be a little shy on the amount. I could have, there's this little water valve access panel right here. And I could have essentially taken this off to make it easier. If you don't have a lot of experience with it, that's what I would recommend you doing. So it turns out that I did have enough. So that's the second coat. I decided on the safe side that I wanted to put a third coat of plaster on here before I put the last top coat on. So I'm using the largest spackler blade. So remember that to use the side that's the big key about getting, one of the keys about getting a good job on this is to not press too hard. So you press down on it, but you don't press super hard, and you let it float. You just basically you let this float. Oh yeah, it looks like going back up is pretty good. So yeah, tape looks a lot better. That's pretty much it. I've got 3 coats of hot mud on here. I did a real light sanding along the edges and on the surface, and I'm getting ready to put the final coat on. I use a coat of topping compound that takes overnight. I This looks different. I take the wide blade and I use a joint compound and I put a teeny little bit of water in it and mix it up so it spreads better. So I take this. What I like to do here on the last coat here, I take the blade and I like to take a wet rag and wipe it off right before I start, just so it's not so dry. That causes like a drag. I just got it in my mouth. Okay. Pretty much it. I'm real happy with that. We'll let it dry overnight and we'll sand it and prime it and paint it tomorrow. So at this point, this has been left to dry overnight. This has got 3 coats of hot mud and 1 coat of topping. And it looks like everything is real well. Now the next part is the sanding, and this is where really all the magic happens. We highly recommend that you use this light for all your sanding. It allows you to get right up on and see every little mark, allowing you to get a completely smooth sand. This is generally a very dusty part of the project, but I've sanded everything really, really well. I can't stress enough to take your time with it to really get around the edges, to take the light and just put it on like every square inch of it, whirl it around. So generally I would vacuum up right now. The homeowners are sleeping. So what I do, I'll just leave that for now till they get up. What I do is when I'm done sanding, I'll dry wipe it. Wet wipe it. Get off. There's a screw over here for the picture. But I basically get every drop of dust off there. Off the whole thing. It's ready for priming. So at this point, it's just a matter of putting on a coat of primer. If you put on the primer and let it dry, and then you run your light back over it, and you see if there's any imperfections, and then you can take care of those at that time. You'd spackle or use the joint compound, whatever you prefer. Let it adequately dry. Put the light over it. Do any necessary sanding. And it's pretty much what do they say, lather, rinse, repeat. Neat little screens that you put right into the can. My can just happens to be, the can of primer just so happens to be enough of it's been used that it's just the perfect. Oops. So the primer's dry. I came in, vacuumed everything, wiped down all the walls, washed the floor, washed the baseboards, washed everything, mirrors. I cleaned, put this back up, and talked to the homeowner about painting this so it'll blend in. They're real happy with that idea. I've got the paint set up over here. I'm trusting that 2 coats would be enough to finish this. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. Could be 3. At least the first coat, if not 2, will be covering up the primer. So I looked at the wall, and everything looks pretty great. So captures the process as it was before with the primer. Put it on nice and thick. This is how I do it since I've been doing it for a long time. But if it was to do this and it doesn't do it every day, I would certainly be showing them how to do it with a lot less pain, a lot slower. A lot more carefully. So once I roll this all out, I wouldn't go back over it like I did with the primer. So it's dried up over there, and I've cut it in for another coat. So this is finished. It's a teeny tiny bit wet, but I'm gonna go. That's it. Finito.